What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome back to our Bible study. Alrighty, so we are kicking off the book of Numbers today, and as the name of the book of the Bible implies, there's a lot of numbers involved with it. More specifically, numbers around the people of Israel, how many of them there were, sort of their subdivisions they're in, and a lot of stuff to that effect. But I don't know if too much more explaining will really help the situation, so I guess we should just hop right in. Other than, I guess context, obviously, I mean, a bit of it's presented in the first few verses, but, super duper Spark Notes or Cliff Notes, whatever version of the Bible to this point. God made the world. People messed it up. God wanted to flood the world, but he saved a particular person and promised that he and his family would eventually, be his chosen people and would bless the earth. Few generations later, a particular person has 12 sons, and they end up being the namesakes of what are later known as the tribes of Israel. Because Israel is the father of the 12 sons in question. But anyway, God's people end up moving to Egypt because of a famine. They are treated poorly for hundreds of years. But eventually God sends somebody to free them. They go out into the wilderness after escaping Egypt through various plagues and things like that sent by God to the Egyptians. And so they've made it out of Egypt, but God has been giving Moses, kind of the main leader, and the broader people some rules that they should be aware of before they head into the land that God is going to give them as their own possession, as their own actual land that they're going to stay in. So, now we get to the book of Numbers at this point. And we start with chapter 1. A year after Israel's departure from Egypt, the Lord spoke to Moses in the tabernacle in the wilderness of Sinai. On the first day of the second month of that year, he said, "From the whole community of Israel, record the names of all the warriors by their clans and families. Let all the men 20 years old or older who are able to go to war." List all the... Anyway. "You and Aaron must register the troops, and you will be assisted by one family leader from each tribe." But anyway, so it seems at this point, God wants a tally of Israel's fighting forces. So he tells Moses to just count the men 20 years and older who are physically capable to do that. Footnote, a tabernacle just says tent of meeting. That's a closer translation of the original Hebrew, basically. Footnote, first day of the second month. This day in the ancient Hebrew lunar calendar occurred in April or May. Just to put it in context of what time of the year it roughly would have been. Okay. You and Aaron must register the troops, and you will be assisted by one family leader from each tribe. So, I guess, assisted by the leaders in registering the troops and, counting them. Because they were all from different tribes and whatnot. So, with regard to registering the troops, then we get to verse 5. That's going to kind of give us an outline of how it's going to happen. These are the tribes and the names of the leaders who will assist you. and I'm kind of doubting this is the way it's laid out in most translations of the Bible, but so I will read it to some effect, like, from the tribe of Reuben, Elizur, son of Shadir. Shadir? I don't know. Anyway. But that's probably how you would find it in most translations. It'd say, from this tribe, this person. So, from the tribe of Simeon, they'd have Shalumiel, son of Zurishaddai. From the tribe of Judah, Nahshon, son of Amminadab. From Issachar, Nethanel, son of Zuar. From Zebulun, Eliab, son of Helon. From Ephraim, why it specifies son of Joseph there, I'm not totally sure. But anyway. Oh, Joseph was the one that kind of kept the broader people of Israel safe during the famine that led them to move to Egypt in the first place, though. So I guess that's a little bit worth noting. But anyway, from the tribe of Ephraim, Elishama, son of Amihud. Sorry if I'm butchering these pronunciations. From Manasseh, Gamaliel, son of Pedazur. From Benjamin, Abidan, son of Gideoni. From Dan, Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai. From Asher, Pagiel, son of Okran. From Gad, Eliasaph, son of Duel. From Naphtali, Ahira, son of Enan. These are the chosen leaders of the community, the leaders of their ancestral tribes, the heads of the clans of Israel. So these people would basically help, or be in charge of helping Moses and Aaron count the number of able-bodied men in each tribe, and these would probably also be the men who would then kind of lead them were they to go into any wars or anything like that. It's not quite a census because it's not going to be everybody that gets counted here. It's just trying to get a sense of the forces of Israel here. And these are the men that are going to help in that effort. Then we get to verse 17. So Moses and Aaron called together these chosen leaders, and they assembled the whole community of Israel on that very day. All the people were registered according to their ancestry by their clans and families. The men of Israel who were 20 years old or older were listed one by one, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. So Moses recorded their names in the wilderness of Sinai. Every single person was listed like this? Jeez. I mean, it says right there, we're listed one by one. And we'll get to the numbers in just a second, but it's a lot of people. Footnote there just says on the first day of the second month. This translation is going with on that very day because, I mean, that's the same thing that is set up here in verse 1, was that it was the first day of the second month. Okay, verse 20 and following. This is the number of men 20 years old or older who were able to go to war, as their names were listed in the records of their clans and families. From the tribe of Reuben, 46,500 men. From Simeon, 59,300. From Gad, 45,650. From Judah, 74,600. From Issachar, 54,400. From Zebulun, 57,400. From Ephraim, son of Joseph, 40,500. From Manasseh, son of Joseph, 32,200. From Benjamin, 35,400. From Dan, 62,700. From Asher, 41,500. And from Naphtali, 53,400. These were the men registered by Moses and Aaron and the 12 leaders of Israel, all listed according to their ancestral descent. They were registered by families, all the men of Israel who were 20 years old or older and able to go to war. The total number was 603,550. So again, I say, they were all listed individually. They literally went through and just counted one by one every single person to get to this. And that was just Israel's fighting forces. So we left it off at verse 47. But this total did not include the Levites. For the Lord had said to Moses, "Do not include the tribe of Levi in the registration. Do not count them with the rest of the Israelites. Put the Levites in charge of the tabernacle of the covenant, along with all its furnishings and equipment. They must carry the tabernacle and all its furnishings as you travel, and they must take care of it and camp around it. Whenever it is time for the tabernacle to move, the Levites will take it down. And when it is time to stop, they will set it up again. But any unauthorized person who goes too near the tabernacle must be put to death. Each tribe of Israel will camp in a designated area with its own family banner. But the Levites will camp around the tabernacle of the covenant to protect the community of Israel from the Lord's anger. The Levites are responsible to stand guard around the tabernacle." So the Israelites did everything just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, it did mention all the different tribes, but the Levites were specifically set aside for service into and around the tabernacle as God's priests. Therefore, they wouldn't really be counted as part of a standing army because that was not their job. Their job, in a sense, was to sort of protect the tabernacle, but more so from, a religious and, purity standpoint than actual, physical fighting defense. I mean, maybe they would defend it physically with fighting if it came down to it, but generally that wouldn't happen because, there would be so many things in the laws that we just got done with in the previous couple of books that would just make that a big mess of a situation and not what God wants. So, anyway, yeah, the Levites were not part of the army, essentially, which is why they weren't counted. Footnote there just says, or tabernacle of the testimony, which might be a more direct translation from the Hebrew. So, I guess as they were going to travel to the promised land, it was kind of important to take note of this because they might encounter some fighting along the way, and if that was the case, it would be helpful to know how many men that they have for that purpose to do the fighting, and kind of how they would group themselves and camp out and whatnot. But otherwise, I think that kind of sort of does it. I must have missed a footnote or something. Where was this one? Somewhere. Oh, right around there. Okay, that just explains again that it was only the men 20 years old and older who could go to war. Hebrew there says Israel's sons because, again, these are, the Israelites, as they're more often called here. I mean, Jacob was technically his name by birth, but there was the whole wrestle with God thing and get renamed to Israel. But being called Israel was also part of the covenant with God. And the footnote's just explaining that those names are often interchanged throughout the Old Testament. And And usually this translation, whenever it's referring to the person that might have been called Israel, it'll instead say Jacob. Whereas if the original text would have meant Israel as in the nation, this translation is going to call that Israel instead of Jacob. Okay, anyway. So I think that does it for chapter 1 of Numbers here. Okay, so that's it for Numbers chapter 1. By the way, I've decided I think I'm going to stop doing the whole, like, kind of summary wrap-up things at the end of these videos. Because, I mean, honestly, that's sort of what the whole, like, abridged Bible series is all about anyway. So, I mean, maybe if y'all want me to keep sort of the TLDW summaries at the end of the videos, y'all can let me know down in the comments section. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's probably better off on the whole if I just start wrapping these up more quickly at the end of the videos. So anyway, that's all I've got to say for now. Other than, of course, you know, like and share the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get updates when I post new videos. Look down in the description to get info on other social media pages and all that good stuff. And leave comments below there with any thoughts you have. So that's it for now. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you for the next video. But until then, stay cool, people.